Alone at a wedding, she discovered an amazing connection when a stranger whispered, "Be with me." The air was thick with joy, splashes of gold and ivory daintily framing laughter that echoed through the massive hall. Emma sat at a small, circular table tucked away in the corner, an outsider at this grand wedding. As the bride and groom glided across the dance floor, she felt herself shrinking, not just in stature but in spirit, the glittering lights highlighting her contrast against the opulence surrounding her. Wealth, laughter, and dreams danced just out of reach. Emma, in her simple dress, could barely remember the ambitious young woman who believed in fairy tale endings. Now, she fought the familiar, gnawing ache of inadequacy, the pressing worry of a mother wanting so desperately to give her son a better life. Every clink of champagne glasses echoed her fears, reminding her of late-night shifts at the diner, the constant balancing act of bills, and bedtime stories set in whispers while her mind spun with worry. She longed to provide the stability her little boy, Jake, deserved. It felt agonizingly poignant, watching the couple swirling around her, their faces flush with happiness, while her heart felt weighted by unfulfilled dreams. Amidst the spinning dances and the blissful atmosphere, Emma's thoughts shattered into memories of long-forgotten desires: a house full of laughter, a partner beside her, and the warmth of love. Just as she began to withdraw deeper into herself, a husky voice jolted her back. "Be with me." She glanced up, startled by the ruggedly handsome man leaning against the table. Jake, a veteran whose presence was magnetic, yet laced with sorrow. His eyes, marked by unspoken battles, held a depth she hadn't expected. The world around them faded, as if they existed in a bubble of their own. They started to talk, their words tumbling out like whispered secrets amidst the wedding chaos, sharing pieces of themselves that bridged the gap between their worlds. "Life can be tough," he said softly, his gaze steady, "but it can be beautiful too." Emma could sense a connection, raw yet healing, blossoming with every shared fear and hope. Her heart began to crack open, letting in warmth for the first time in ages. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emma managed a small smile as they shared a laugh, feeling the burden of loneliness lighten, if only for a moment. Yet, just as she began to envision a new future, one filled with hope and connection, a small, familiar figure pierced the festivities. Her son, Jake, was not supposed to be here. The surprise tightened her chest with anxiety. Suddenly, the sweet moment felt complicated, a jigsaw piece that refused to fit. The judgmental gazes of the affluent guests were suddenly sharpened on her. The whispers of social prejudice clawed at her confidence. Just as doubts crept in, Jake stepped forward, resolute, his voice cutting through the expectations lingering in the air. "She's more than what you see. We all have our battles, our stories." Emma's heart raced, feeling both exposed and free. Could she take this leap of faith with Jake? The moments of connection had ignited a flicker of possibility. As the celebration pulsed around them, she stood at a crossroads, the weight of fleeting dreams and potential happiness colliding. Would she retreat back into her safe and lonely world, or dare to embrace the warmth of connection she hadn't felt in years? The question hung in the air, echoing with the laughter and love swirling around her, waiting for her answer. Emma's heart thudded loudly in her chest, the wedding music fading to a dull thrum as she stared at Jake, the man whose presence had stirred something deep within her. The turmoil of feeling both seen and judged whirled around her. Everything felt precarious, like a delicate balance that could topple at the slightest nudge. Jake's words had shifted her perspective. She had spent so much time defining herself through the lens of scarcity and struggle. Here he was, a reflection of strength and vulnerability, imploring the world to see the truth beneath the surface. "More than what you see," she repeated those words in her mind, letting them wrap around her like a warm embrace. But what about Jake, her son? What would it mean for him to see her in this light? Would he understand? The last thing Emma wanted was to put him in a position to choose between his mother and the judgment of others. Yet, there was something so intoxicating about the connection she felt with this veteran, something that beckoned her to step forward rather than retreat. Just then, Jake's small voice broke through her thoughts. "Mom." He looked up at her with those big brown eyes, innocent, yet searching for something more than the usual fleeting smile. His appearance jolted her back to the present, a reminder that motherhood was her first priority, her most precious role. When Emma knelt to his level, she could see the confusion painted across his face. "Why are we at this party, Mom?" His little brow furrowed. "Are you okay?" She felt a lump in her throat. "I'm okay, sweetheart." She forced a smile, glancing at Jake to reassure him. But the flickering joy from the dance floor reminded her of the ache in her soul, the silent chaos she'd been living with for far too long. How could she explain the notion of connection to a child who just wanted to feel safe? Jake's gaze flicked between her and the man beside her, a question brewing in his eyes, a mixture of fear and curiosity about this stranger who stood close by. "Are you two friends?" The innocence in his voice struck something deep within her. She hesitated, the question echoing louder than the music surrounding them. "Sort of," Emma replied, glancing at Jake. "He's really nice, and he understands some tough things about life." She wrapped her arm around her son's shoulder, pulling him closer. "And I think he understands me." "Nice is good," Jake declared, his small face lighting up as though something clicked. "Can we dance with him?" Emma's heart swelled at her son's innocent eagerness. Could it really be that simple? Could she allow a tiny spark of joy to unfold without the weight of fear? "Sure, let us ask him," she said, voice softening. Just as Emma turned, she felt the warmth of Jake's hand clasped tightly in hers. With each step they took toward Jake, the veteran was looking right at them, his smile welcoming. It was as if he could see them both, two souls seeking a moment of connection amidst the noise of uncertainty. But before they could reach him, the groom's voice called for everyone to gather for a special announcement. As people began moving around, Emma felt her hopes flickering. A part of her wanted to run, to escape the eyes she anticipated would turn on them on her. But there was another part that whispered, "Stay." She looked down at her son, who was beaming with excitement, his face flushed from the energy around them. "Mom, let us." He tugged on her sleeve, a child becoming aware of the world in his joyful innocence, encouraging her to take that leap. Could she really choose a moment of happiness? Could she allow herself the freedom of joy? As they approached Jake, she took a deep breath, the air filling with the scent of fresh flowers and lingering laughter. "All right, let us see what happens." But just as Emma was about to let the unexpected warmth of the moment flood her heart, a nearby figure caught her attention. The bride's mother, her face twisted with disdain, was glaring in their direction, whispering to a friend, "Look at that, who does she think she is?" Suddenly, the joy of that connection felt threatened, like a thin bubble poised to burst. Mom, Jake's voice was questioning, uncertain. Emma's heart sank. Would she be able to overcome the noise of judgment and take that leap, or would she shrink back into her shell? The decision loomed large, casting a shadow over the flickering light of possibility. As the anticipation thickened, Emma had to confront her truth. Would she rise up for her son, for herself, and for the man who had whispered those life-changing words? The moment of clarity danced at the edge of her grasp, waiting for her response. What would she choose? Emma's pulse quickened as she caught the bride's mother glaring at her, the woman's sneer lighting up an unease she had tried to quell. The weight of judgment hung heavy in the air. She looked down at Jake, whose innocent face shone with excitement, blissfully unaware of the tension bubbling just beneath the surface. "Mom, are we going to dance?" Jake asked again, his voice bright and hopeful, cutting through her spiraling thoughts. For a moment, everything felt like it might just work out, but the flickering doubts clawed at her heart. "Right, let us ask Jake," she said, forcing a lightness to her tone. They took a few tentative steps forward, nearing the smiling veteran. Emma let her hand wrap securely around Jake's, squeezing it reassuringly. With each step, she could feel her anxieties warring with the desire for joy as they approached. Jake's eyes sparkled with unfiltered trust. But Emma's resolve wavered when another voice chimed in, sharp and unmistakably judgmental. "What kind of mother drags her child into this?" The sneering comment came from an elderly woman seated nearby, her eyes like daggers aimed squarely at Emma. That single remark pierced through the thread of courage Emma had been weaving. Her heart sank while her cheeks warmed with humiliation. "Okay, let's just go back," she said slowly, her breath hitching as she felt Jake's hand slipping away from hers. Just then, she noticed the warmth of the veteran's presence, his eyes fixed on her with a mixture of understanding and kindness. "No," he interjected softly but firmly. "You two shouldn't leave because of what anyone else thinks." Each word was weighed with conviction, cutting through her doubt like a lifeline. Emma's gaze flicked to Jake, who was visibly confused but simultaneously calm, as if he sensed the enormity of the moment. "Mom, please, I want to dance with him," Jake pleaded, lifting his tiny chin defiantly. His small hand found hers again, squeezing it tightly, and she felt an overwhelming wave of love surge within her. Taking a deep breath, she straightened her spine, shaking off the judgment. She glanced toward the sparkling lights overhead, then back at Jake, whose unwavering enthusiasm reignited something deep inside her. "All right," she said, newfound determination rising in her voice. "Let us go dance." As they approached the veteran, Emma felt the tightness in her chest start to loosen. With each step, she was choosing her son over her fears, a decision layered with strength she'd yet to fully embrace. "Hey, buddy," the veteran greeted, lowering himself to Jake's level. "Ready to show us some serious moves?" Jake's laughter broke free, bright and infectious. "Yeah," he exclaimed, tugging on the veteran's arm. As they began to sway to the music, Jake sandwiched happily between them. Emma felt herself starting to smile. Her heart raced, but it wasn't from fear. It was exhilaration, a feeling she'd almost forgotten. Each clumsy dance step banished the judgmental whispers and spiraling insecurities. But just as she tasted freedom, the bride's mother screeched, "This is not a playground. Control your child." The moment of bliss wavered, trembling under her lingering gaze of disapproval. Emma's smile faltered, and a familiar pang of insecurity gnawed at her once more. She felt Jake lean into her, glancing back at her with uncertainty. "Mom, are we in trouble?" he whispered, the shine in his eyes dimming. Emma took a deep breath, fighting to find her voice. Could she protect him from this? How could she stand strong against that glare while still allowing him to enjoy the moment? As she prepared to respond, a flicker of strength ignited in her chest. It wasn't just about her anymore. It was about Jake and what he deserved. Would she let the noise drown the joy they were building together? Or would she choose to rise above and create a space where they could both shine? The answer began to form. What if in that moment, she leaned fully into the connection they were forging even in the face of adversity? What would happen if she truly embraced being bold, surrounded by judgment, but held by love? And as she turned to face the crowd, Emma dried her tears with swift resolution, ready to emerge from the shadows of doubt. Emma steadied herself, heart pounding as she faced the judgmental stares of the crowd. She felt the electric energy pulsing between her and Jake, and it called for courage. In that moment, she vowed to shield him from the negativity hanging in the air like a thick fog. "Listen, Jake," she said, kneeling to meet his gaze. "You've got every right to enjoy this party, and I won't let anyone take that away from you." She felt the warmth of his tiny hands gripping hers, that innocent trust flooding her with strength. Before she could lose her nerve, she turned, standing tall, and met the bride's mother's icy glare. "This isn't just a playground. It's a celebration," Emma declared, her voice ringing out with newfound conviction. "And we're going to dance here, right now, because it makes my son happy." The room seemed to hush, people shifting awkwardly in their seats, as if daring her to sit down or cower before the woman. But Emma felt Jake's hand tighten around hers, a lifeline connecting two souls in that vibrant and chaotic space. The veteran gave her an encouraging nod, and with Jake at her side, she led him back to the center of the dance floor. The music continued to swell, upbeat and lively, and Emma allowed herself to move with the rhythm. Each sway sent ripples of warmth through her body, and Jake mirrored every step, his laughter ringing like music in her ears. "You're doing great, Mom," he cheered, eyes bright with excitement. Emma found her heart lifting, each moment of defiance washing away her doubts. No longer would she let that sneering voice scrape at her confidence. As the songs changed, she improvised silly dance moves. She spun, dipped, and twirled Jake around, their giggles intertwining with the music, forming an invisible bubble around them, shielded from disapproval. But as they danced, Emma spotted more whispers and turned heads. A knot of friends clustered nearby, glancing at them for too long, sneers cracking their smiles wide enough to see the criticism beneath. Mom Jake's voice wavered, his cheerful expression flickering. She noticed that her joyous bubble was cracking under their scrutiny, making her defenses shake. Her breath hitched, a wave of uncertainty crashing down as she realized she was still vulnerable to their words. Then, a voice broke through. Let them dance. It was another guest, a spirited woman with a patterned dress and wild curls, who charged onto the floor with a contagious energy. These two look like they're having the time of their lives. More people turned. The momentum of the room shifted. Emma saw smiles creeping onto faces, shaking off the stifling tension like dust from an old book. With a flourish, the woman danced her way over to them, twirling near Jake and sending him into a fit of laughter. See that, buddy? Emma said, her heart swelling. You're lighting up the whole place. It's our moment. The kindness stirred a fire within her. Maybe this was the connection she was searching for, a community rising up to support rather than critique. With that thought, she locked eyes with the veteran, who was now dancing alongside them, turning the corner of his mouth up into a warm smile. In an instant, Emma was flooded with a sense of belonging she and T felt in ages. Together, they formed a little team of joy amid the sea of disapproving faces. It was as if the music itself had become a rallying cry, persuading the crowd to join them in celebration. Dance with us. Jake yelled and laughter erupted. The crowd began to sway with a newfound lightness. But even as the energy surged around her, an unsettling thought lingered. What if this moment was fleeting? What if, beneath the rhythms of joy, the whispers would return? As she danced, the sheer audacity of her happiness mixed with fear. She couldn't shake that lingering doubt. And for the first time, she asked herself, could she keep this newfound bravery alive outside the dance floor? When they left the storybook wedding and returned to reality, the answer felt like a fragile thread of hope. Emma watched the twinkling lights overhead, feeling small yet mighty in that glimmering arena of love and acceptance. As she shared laughs and moves with Jake, she realized that the truth of joy comes from daring to defy judgment. But as night began to fall, questions loomed. Could this community last beyond the celebration? Would she find the strength to stand tall against whispers, come what may? The next dance awaited. What if clapping hands weren't enough to drown out the judgments that awaited them outside? Emma felt unsteady, the weight of uncertainty still pressing at her chest like an unwelcome friend. What would they encounter on the other side of this magical night? As the rhythm of the party pulsed around Emma and Jake, her heart raced, caught between exhilaration and the looming dread of judgment. In this moment where the music wrapped them in warmth, she wanted to hold on tight, to believe this connection was real. The unexpected support of the colorful newcomer had transformed the atmosphere, unwinding the tension that had coiled around her like a snake. But as the last notes of the song played, Emma stole a glance at the crowd, her smile fading. Their faces had morphed again, returning to expressions that were a mix of confusion and disapproval. Maybe they were just waiting for the fun to wear off. The flicker of doubt ignited once more. What if she couldn't remain strong beyond the dance floor? Mom, let us do another spin. Jake called out, his little legs ready to twirl again. She smiled down at him, his joy tugging at her resolve. Absolutely. But first, she said, turning towards the dancing strangers. Who else wants to join? Me. Me. Shouted a few voices, their enthusiasm infectious. One after another, friends and newcomers stepped forward, forming a chain of laughter and movement. Emma felt a swell of pride. Maybe this wasn't just about her bravery. Maybe it was about all of them, pushing against the shadows of judgment together. Ready, buddy? Emma asked, clasping Jake's hand. Ready, he exclaimed, those bright eyes bursting with happiness. Together, they spun into the center, welcomed by those who wanted to be part of their wide as they danced. Emma caught the eye of the spirited woman again. What is your name? She called out between breathless laughter. Chloe. And your little guy is a superstar. She beamed back. Thank you. He is my hero. Emma shouted, feeling a newfound thrill course through her veins. The connection they formed ignited a flicker of something deeper within her, a sense that they were part of a bigger tapestry, woven together in this moment. Gradually, she began to notice others joining in, the skeptical stares transforming into curious smiles. The whispers dwindled as more people turned to join the dance. Emma felt her heart soar. It was not just about her fighting judgment anymore. It was about countless others finding their voice amid the noise. But beneath the waves of laughter and celebration, her thoughts flickered back to the uncertainty that still clung to her. What about when the music stopped, and it was just the two of them again, away from this bubble of acceptance? As the music transitioned to a slow song, Emma pulled Jake closer. They both swayed gently amidst the crowd, the joy lingering sweetly but the doubts still coiling in her mind like vines. She wanted this night to last forever, and yet, as shadows lengthened around the edges of the dance floor, the scarier side of reality loomed large. "Can I whisper something to you, Mom?" Jake asked, his voice quietening and serious, breaking through the blissful haze surrounding them. "Of course, sweetheart," she replied, focusing on his delicate features, his trust so genuine. "I love dancing with you. Just don't let them make you scared, okay?" His earnestness hit her like a revelation, a gentle reminder of why she needed to keep fighting for joy. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes. Her little boy had a deeper understanding than many adults. "I won tea, Jake. I promise," she whispered back, her heart full. Yet as they resumed their dance, Emma's mind churned with a question that twisted in her stomach. If a child could be so resolute, then why did she still feel hesitant? As the final notes faded, threatening to pull her back to the chilling realm of judgment, she realized she needed more than courage. She needed to transform her fear into action. In that moment, she resolved to seek clarity outside the dance floor, perhaps within this community that had started to form. What if there was strength in numbers? Could she reach out and build connections that would outlast the fleeting joy of the night? The invitation for a new beginning lay just beyond the edges of her comfort zone. Emma swallowed hard, ready to step out, to seek a more permanent bond that would fight against judgment long after the music had stopped. But was she really ready to embrace the challenge? Could she find true courage in the outside world, or would it just come crashing down? The soft glow of the fairy lights illuminated the dim corners of the room, casting a gentle warmth that contrasted sharply with the chill of her thoughts. Emma clutched Jake's hand tightly, the promise she made echoing in her ears like the lingering notes of the slow song. "I won't be scared," she murmured to herself, searching for the strength she could muster. As they swayed, she caught sight of Chloe again. The vibrant woman was animatedly drawing in a small group, gesturing and laughing like a beacon in a storm. Emma felt a pull toward her, a yearning for connection, a desire to somehow blend into this newfound community. She took a deep breath, mustering all the courage she could find. "Should we go say hi?" Emma asked Jake, who nodded enthusiastically, his eyes shining bright. As if reading her mind, he squeezed her hand, fueling her resolve. With a smile that hid her trepidation, Emma led the way through the thrumming crowd. The laughter and chatter grew louder, creating a symphony of joy that filled her with cautious hope. As they crossed the threshold into the group, Chloe turned, and her face broke into a radiant grin. "Look who decided to join us," she exclaimed, wrapping Emma and Jake in an embrace. It felt warm and inviting, like being enveloped in a cozy blanket. Emma felt an unexpected surge of gratitude. This was what she wanted, a place to be herself, free from the judgment of the outside world. "You all know Emma and Jake?" Chloe asked the group. Heads turned, smiles widened, and one by one, they greeted them warmly. Each introduction felt like a tiny victory against the dark shadows of uncertainty. "Nice to meet you. How's the dancing?" A tall man with kind eyes inquired, flashing a friendly smile. "Best part of the night," Jake piped up, bubbling with excitement. The adults laughed, and for the first time, Emma felt the tightness in her chest ease a little. They began to share stories, laughter flowing between them, binding their spirits in a tentative but growing connection. It was easy, surprisingly so. Emma found herself opening up, sharing snippets of her life, her joys and struggles. As the conversation drifted, the warmth enveloping her grew stronger. Each story resonated with her deep down, stories of motherhood, of enduring challenges, of finding one's feet again after setbacks. As voices blended, she realized they were not just acquaintances but kindred spirits woven together by shared experiences. But as laughter filled the air, doubt crept in again. What if this was just a fleeting moment? What if, when the last dance ended, so too would this bond? She shifted uncomfortably in her seat, the anxiety flaring up. Chloe seemed to sense her hesitation. Leaning closer, she whispered, "You know, we've all been fighting our own battles. Finding this connection here tonight, it's not accidental. You belong with us, Emma." Those words struck like a lifeline thrown into stormy waters. Emma could feel the weight of Chloe's belief washing over her. Can it be that simple? She wondered. Maybe this community was an anchor she could grasp, not just a moment to enjoy fleetingly. "Would you like to join our group on a project we're starting?" Chloe continued, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "We're working on ways to bring people together, create safe spaces for everyone to express themselves." Emma's heart pounded. Could she really step into something like that? It felt like diving into a vast ocean when she had only just learned to float. Jake tugged her sleeve. "Mom, I think you should do it." His faith in her put a soft smile on her face. I'd love to," she found herself saying, the words tumbling out before she could second-guess. "Fantastic. We'll set up a time to meet. It'll be fun," Chloe exclaimed, embracing her once more. The joy shared in that moment fed Emma's soul, reducing fear into something small and manageable. As the camaraderie flourished around her, she felt a flicker of hope. Could this really be the start of something lasting? A chance to redefine what community meant for her and Jake? But just as relief washed over her, the striking realization surfaced. Would she be ready to open her heart fully and risk being vulnerable again? Emma stared down at Jake, who was beaming with pride. Could she transform this connection into a lifeline beyond this night? The music resumed, upbeat and invigorating, but all she could hear was the loud thud of her heart echoing the question she was most afraid to confront. What if this time, she truly let go and embraced it all? She glanced back at Chloe, who was dancing with the others, laughter lighting up her face. Maybe this night could be the beginning, but the challenge of sustaining that connection loomed ahead. Would she take the leap? The music swelled, and Emma's gaze drifted back to Chloe, whose laughter seemed to dance in the air. The buzz of the crowd faded slightly, the lights twinkling like stars in a vast sky. Emma felt torn, a swirling mix of exhilaration and apprehension. She wanted more than this night. She craved something that felt real. "Let us dance." Jake pulled at her hand. She looked down at him, and his enthusiasm sparked a fire inside her. Emma nodded, and they stepped onto the dance floor together as they swayed to the rhythm. Jake's small frame moved with an innocent joy. Emma smiled, forgetting all her worries just for that moment. Their bodies moved in sync, laughter mixing with the music. It was so simple and so freeing. She was no longer just Emma the single mom. Tonight, she felt vibrant, almost whole, but just as she allowed herself to sink into that moment, doubt crept in again. It was as if a shadow lurked just outside the glow of the fairy lights, whispering reminders of her past struggles and fears. Could she allow herself to truly feel connected? What if this happiness was just a fleeting shadow? What if it all ended when the music stopped? As the song came to a gentle close, Chloe joined them, twirling into the space between Emma and Jake. "What did I miss?" she teased, her grin wide and welcoming. Emma breathed a sigh of relief. Chloe's energy was a shield against the ghosts of uncertainty. "You missed our victorious dance," Jake declared proudly, bouncing on his heels. Emma chuckled, buoyed by her son's confidence. "We were just getting warmed up," Emma added, feeling lighter as the anxiety ebbed away momentarily. Chloe leaned closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "You're a natural, Emma. I can see it in the way you move. You belong here." Her sincerity wrapped around Emma like a comforting scarf. "Sometimes, I don't feel like I do," Emma confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. Vulnerability stirred within her, an unexpected stirring that pushed against her walls. Chloe's expression softened. "That's okay. We all have those moments. But we're not letting you slip away." She pointed to a cluster of friends who beckoned them closer, excitement bubbling at the edges of her voice. Emma felt a swell of emotion. These were no longer just fleeting connections with strangers. They were faces of people who understood her battle, a tapestry woven with shared stories and experiences. Maybe she could carve out a place for herself here. They joined the group, and laughter erupted. Jake was right in the middle, a whirlwind of energy, drawing everyone in with his charm. Emma watched him with a reflective smile, gratitude filling her heart. "Can I confess something?" A woman named Mia, with a contagious laugh, stepped closer to Emma. "I was so nervous to come tonight. I almost backed out." Emma's heart tugged in recognition. "Me too." "Really?" Mia's eyes widened. "Why did you stay?" "Because my son wanted to. And maybe I needed it." Emma looked down, feeling warmth bloom across her cheeks. "I want to find my place." "Exactly. That search is why we're all here." Mia's voice held a certain resolve. "We can't do this alone. That's why this group means so much. We lift each other up." As the night wore on, Emma found herself sharing bits of her story. She spoke about her struggles as a single mom, the breakup, and wrestled with feelings of isolation. Instead of being met with pity, she was met with understanding, nods of recognition, and encouragement. Others shared their experiences, too, stories of heartache and hope, and Emma felt a kinship forming that warmed her from within. Later, as Jake giggled with some of the kids in the corner, Emma's laughter rose in cadence, dancing with the music. She threw back her head and let the joy take over. This was a celebration of resilience, of dreams rekindled amidst shared vulnerabilities. But deep down, a lingering fear whispered. What if she couldn't maintain these connections once the night ended? Chloe approached, brushing her arm lightly. "Emma, this is just a beginning. We'll stay in touch." "I promise." Emma nodded, holding on to Chloe's words like a life buoy. "Will we really? Will you still care tomorrow?" Chloe smiled wide, her confidence brightening the room. "Absolutely. You're part of us now. You can lean in when you need extra support." Just then, Chloe leaned closer, confiding, "There's a workshop coming up. It's more than a project. It's about growth. Are you in?" Emma's heart raced. What if she could dive deeper than she ever thought possible? Could she truly let herself be part of something bigger? The thrill of possibilities made her skin tingle. "Count me in," Emma responded, her voice steady and resolute. As they danced on, she realized that the roots of this connection could flourish beyond the confines of this night. But as the final song played and the energy in the room began to shift, a new uncertainty took hold. Would they hold true to their promises? Would she find the courage to remain vulnerable and let others in? With the music fading, Emma found herself teetering on the edge of excitement and fear. Would she take a step into the unknown or retreat back into her comfort zone? The moment hung in the air, heavy with potential and questions that forced her to confront what came next. The glow of the fairy lights dimmed slightly as the last notes of the music faded away. The laughter around her still hummed softly, a comforting echo against the void that loomed in her mind. Emma felt a tug at her heart, a mix of hope and hesitation. She had taken a step into this wild, uncharted territory tonight, but was she really ready for more? Jake swung by her side, eyes sparkling with excitement. "Can we dance again, Mom?" His finger pointed towards the empty dance floor, begging for just one more joyous spin. Emma looked down at him, her heart swelling. Her small boy was bursting with energy, and she did not want to dampen his spirit. "Of course, buddy. Let us show them our moves," she said, determined to match his enthusiasm. They stepped back out under the twinkling stars of the tent, and for a moment, it was just the two of them drifting, spinning, lost in their own world. But as they danced, Emma couldn't shake the thought that whispered through her. What now? The night had been a wild ride of feelings, but tomorrow would come with its own challenges. She couldn't wrap her mind around the idea of letting go of feeling free with a group of people who were once strangers. What if her vulnerabilities came crashing back down when the sun rose? As the carnival of lights flickered on the dance floor, Chloe returned, her exuberance infectious. "See, you're lighting up the dance floor." She grabbed Emma's hand and spun her around, laughter bubbling over like champagne. "You're going to keep coming back, right? We need your energy." Emma's breath hitched for a moment, but Chloe's smile radiated warmth. "I'm in," Emma said, her resolve kicking in again. Seeing Chloe's genuine excitement gave her courage, tiny but steady. "If you're coming to the workshop, we're going to explore so much together. You're going to be amazed at what you discover about yourself," Chloe said, throwing an arm around Emma's shoulder like they were old friends. As they continued to dance, Emma couldn't ignore the flicker of emotion that ignited in her chest. Maybe this was what she had needed all along, people who saw her, who wanted her to be part of their tapestry. But she was still teetering on the edge. Could this truly be real? Can we grab a bite? Mia's voice chimed in, cheerful and warm. I need food to fuel this dancing. Chloe laughed, and Emma found herself swept along, a part of this exciting camaraderie. The group moved toward a nearby table where delicious scents wafted through the air. Emma felt anchored as they gathered, swapping stories and snacks. The discussions flowed freely, the laughter, the confessions, everything stitched together with threads of shared experiences. Mia leaned in closely, her voice lowered but energized. Hey, can I be real with you guys? Sometimes I worry that I want to fit in anywhere. Emma nodded, her heart swelling. I get that. There've been times when I've felt like an outsider, like I don't belong. The honesty hung fresh in the air, a moment of softness in the laughter. I think we're all seeking something, right? Chloe said, glancing from face to face. A place, a connection. Maybe we should remember that as we go through this journey together. Before Emma could respond, Jake bounded back from the refreshment table, a cupcake the size of his head in his hands. Look, Mom, he shouted, his innocent joy wrapping around them like a blanket. Emma glanced around at her new friends, feeling gratitude swell in her chest. This is what I've missed, she whispered more to herself than anyone else. Old thoughts about loneliness faded slightly, making room for this spark of connection. Yet, just as she began to feel secure in her newfound circle, a fear surfaced. What if she allowed herself to grow close, only to lose it all again? The thought bit at her like a nagging itch. The group's laughter surrounded her, but a silence fell as they paused for a moment, and Chloe didn't hesitate. We're here for each other, Emma. Always. The steel in her voice anchored Emma's fluttering heart. Feeling bold, Emma took a chance. Promise me that we'll check. And after the workshop? I don't want to fade back into that. Absolutely, Mia said, grinning, while Chloe nodded emphatically. And in that moment, a tiny yet fierce spark ignited deep within Emma. She was ready to embrace the uncertainty, prepared to discover more about this intricate web of connections that had begun to bloom. But as they settled into comfort and warmth, that fear coiled back, whispering again, was this a fleeting illusion? Or could she truly find her place? Just then, a stranger stepped into her line of vision, eyes glinting as he smiled politely, but something about his presence sent a thrill down her spine. Emma, right? I've seen you dancing. I must say, you radiate a light. Her heart raced. What was this new connection? What did it mean? Emma's stomach flipped. Perhaps the answers she sought were not just among friends, but also waiting in unexpected encounters. Would this stranger lead her deeper into the world she yearned to explore? Emma blinked in surprise, the noise of the carnival fading away momentarily as she focused on the stranger before her. He was tall, with dark hair that seemed tousled in a carefree way. His eyes held a magnetic kind of charm, sending her pulse racing just a little faster. Magnetic, pulling her in. Emma's mind raced. Was she ready to let go of the past and embrace this spark, this stranger who seemed to see right through her facade? The laughter from their friends lingered on the edges of her consciousness, and yet, all she could feel was the warmth radiating from Alex, inviting her to be present. But as she stood there, teetering on the brink of something new and bold, her heart hummed with unease. What if this connection faded before it had a chance to fully blossom? Just as that thought began to settle around her like a fog, Jake burst back into the moment, eyes wide. Mom, can we get another cupcake? He tugged on her arm, pulling her back to reality. Emma glanced from her son to Alex, feeling the weight of the choice before her. Did she embrace this budding connection, or would she retreat into the role she had been playing for so long? With uncertainty pulsating in the air, she stood at the crossroads of discovery, staring into the possibilities ahead. What path would she take? The vibrant energy of the wedding hall pulsed around Emma, lights twinkling, laughter ringing, and the sweet scent of flowers filling the air. Yet, at that moment, standing between her son Jake and the captivating Alex, the world felt still. A lifetime of fear swirled through her mind like autumn leaves caught in a gust. Her heart raced a wild beat of hope, vulnerability, and the thrill of connection. Just be here with me for now. Alex's words echoed softly in her ears, and Emma let them soak in. This night wasn't just a fleeting moment. It was a chance to rewrite her story, to peel back the layers she had hidden behind for too long. If she could embrace joy, even amidst uncertainty, maybe, just maybe, it would blossom into something beautiful. Mom. Jake's innocent voice broke through her thoughts, those big brown eyes searching hers. Can we go get more cupcakes? I want to share one with you. His excitement was contagious, igniting a warmth in her heart, a reminder of why she had to face her fears. She looked at Alex, who smiled knowingly, giving her a reassuring nod. Emma inhaled deeply, feeling the air fill her lungs with strength. How about we all go for some cupcakes? She announced, her voice steady. It's a party after all. Jake cheered, his little hands clapping in pure delight. Alex stepped alongside her, and they walked as a trio toward the dessert table. Emma felt a lightness she hadn't known in ages, the kind that chased away doubt with each step. You are a brave little man, Jake, Alex said, kneeling to Jake's level. Are you always this adventurous? Always. Jake beamed, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. They reached the table, and as the plate filled with cupcakes, Emma felt the subtle shift in her heart. Each sweet treat became a symbol of the joy she was reclaiming, not just for herself, but for Jake too. In that simple act, she began to grasp the possibility of a shared journey, one where they could explore happiness without fear of judgment. Here you go, buddy, she said, handing Jake a cupcake, their fingers brushing momentarily. The warmth of that touch sent a thrill through her, a reminder of the love that existed between them. As they gathered their sweets and settled around a small seating area, laughter and animated conversation began to flow effortlessly. Alex fit seamlessly into their little world, cracking jokes and drawing out Jake's radiant laughter. Emma watched, heart swelling, captivated by the bond blooming before her eyes. But as the festivities continued, an uncomfortable thought flickered in her mind. What would tomorrow bring? The initial thrill of connection mixed with the persistent swirl of anxiety, threatening to choke the joy she felt. Yet, as she looked at Jake, his face smeared with frosting, his laughter echoing through her heart, she realized she had the power to craft their reality. They weren't just surviving, they were thriving, each moment tethered by love and support. Let us go back to the dance floor, she declared suddenly, an idea bursting forward. It's time to show off our sweet moves. With that, Emma took Jake's small hand in hers, and together, they made their way back, Alex falling into rhythm with them. As they stepped onto the dance floor, the music swelled once more, calling them back into a world free from worry. The dark clouds of fear parted, and for the first time, Emma allowed herself to dance fully, joyfully, without the shadow of doubt hovering over her. It was exhilarating. Emma spun, twirled, and laughed with Jake, their hearts beating as one. She felt the weight of her insecurities begin to dissipate, replaced by an undeniable thrill of living in the moment. The fear of judgment had dulled to a gentle hum, overshadowed by the exhilaration of embracing who she was meant to be. As the night drew to a close, Emma found herself surrounded by new friends, faces bright with warmth and connectedness. Together they formed a circle, hands clasped, each person sharing their hopes and dreams amidst a flurry of laughter and positivity. Tonight has been incredible, Emma reflected, her voice steady and confident. I never knew I could feel this way again. Chloe, Mia, and the others smiled back, embodying collective strength. The camaraderie they nurtured buoyed Emma's spirit, and she began to notice that the tent had shifted from a chaos of uncertainty to a home overflowing with acceptance. This was a community that held her truth, and more importantly, held Jake's. As the last song played, Emma gazed around, soaking in the beauty of the moment. Would she continue to nurture this connection outside this joyful evening? She was ready, she realized. Ready to step into this next chapter with Jake, with Alex, and with her newfound friends. Let us promise to keep this going, Emma said, her heart racing with excitement. I want this to be just the beginning of something amazing. Everyone nodded, their excitement palpable as they echoed agreements, enthusiasm brimming with endless possibilities. And as she clutched Jake's hand, feeling the warmth of new beginnings, she knew that this night hadn't just transformed her, it had ignited something powerful in her soul. It was a joyful testament to connection, resilience, and love. No more hiding. No more doubts. Emma had rediscovered her strength, and with that, she was ready to soar into the dawn of a new day, a life filled with love, laughter, and limitless connections. Now is your moment. You need to subscribe to the channel immediately to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts like yours. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear your voice. And don't wait, not even one more second, to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Show your support and be part of this amazing journey.